All right, my friends, welcome back to our PMP Fast Track. Now we're on to the last piece of Agile, and we're going to talk about Kanban. Kanban is a visual workflow management system that uses a Kanban board to illustrate what we have to do, what is currently in progress, and what we have gotten done. Cool thing about Kanban is you don't require any roles. You follow the rules and you move the work with regard to your work in progress limit. So if it's just you working on an item, it makes sense to focus on one thing. So assuming this was our priority one that needs to be done right now, I would be tracking it in the doing column, right? This is item number one because we have priorities. It's not being very cooperative, doesn't want to stick. But let's assume I'm working on item one. I only have bandwidth to work on one thing, so I work it all the way to done. Now let's say item two, I have to work on item two next. And let's say I begin to work on item two, but I get into a bottleneck and I need to hand it off to someone else. Well, I can work on something else while this is out to someone else to get done. I can begin working on item three so that work isn't at a standstill. And then when item two is able to get to done, I get it to done, get item three to done, so on and so forth. So there's a flow. And that's how it works. Okay? Now, when it comes to the doing state, I want you to understand that the doing state right here, we can break these down into substates. So I can have analysis, I can have design, I can have develop, I can have test, I can have implement. And all of these could be sub-states within doing that my item will pass through, right? First of all, starts at to do, gets to analysis, design, develop, test, implement, done. And that's how the cycle of life can be adjusted. It can be customized, regardless the industry you're in. We've trained everyone from education to oil and gas to engineering. All industries, we have different companies that use this approach. Some people use this for what we call individual Kanban, and some people use this for more like a group thing. I actually have a video. If you go to Project Leadership Institute channel, one of my students, Peggy Jones, she's showing how she uses this in the education space for her team. You can use this anywhere. Okay, it's a really great way of managing the work. So Kanban is a visual workflow management system originally used in manufacturing but now widely adopted in software development and other fields that helps teams visualize and manage their work. If you want to go more into this world of Kanban, look for my book King Kanban. It's a rather colorful story about a king in a place called Kanban, and he's the king of Kanban. But Kanban is expanded upon in that literature. What you need to remember is that for each one of these, you have a WIP limit, work in progress limit, right? For example, we could have a 3, a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 1. And this just shows us our work in progress limit. We shouldn't exceed our WIP limit. So Kanban has some rules, right? And it has some, I should say, peculiarities. So WIP limits is one, demand, right? So based on the ability to absorb more work, if the WIP limits are not reached, then by all means, pull more work into the silo. But if you've reached your WIP limits, you got to get that work done. And let's say you as a team player, you get your item done. Well, you're not going to go back to the to-do, which is more like the backlog, and begin pulling new stuff. You're going to look what is closest to being done and who needs help with their item. So assuming you had a team member with an item that is here and you could help them, you work on helping them as opposed to going back to the to-do and doing. So the philosophy in the world of Agile is stop starting. start finishing. Stop grabbing new stuff to begin working on that stays in a limbo state until who knows when. Instead, help each other get to done. And that's the general mindset. All right. So that's Kanban for you. Okay. Now, if you look on Ken Schwaber's site, he has a publication on Kanban that can help. And that is scrum.org. And I'll tell you what the publication is. So it's called Scrum with Kanban. If you are really serious about being a practitioner of this stuff, you'll lap up every good publication you can get. And it's called the Kanban Guide for Scrum Teams. And it's a little bit more advanced than just, the beginner, but highly recommend, at least for those of you who have not, read anything formal about Kanban to that degree, you can look for my book, King Kanban, but you can also get the Kanban Guide for Scrum Teams. And it talks about everything from Little's Law, which is also something you should know. In fact, you can search for my video on Little's Law on YouTube. It talks about limiting your whip, and it talks about how you can incorporate Kanban with Scrum. Okay? I hope you enjoy this. Remember, we're still on the journey, just talking about the Agile piece. We still got a lot to talk about to expand on it. Now, if you want more and you want to study with me, right, I've got a 50-hour program. Excuse me. Excuse me. Been talking for about 5 hours straight. Oh dear. Okay. So I should have done that. But moving forward, my friends, um, if you want some additional coaching and training for your PMP exam, I recommend going to tinyurl.com/elite PMP. And you can be part of my you can be part of my current online program. It's already uploaded, it's already there on Udemy, but I'm really keen on the long haul. So it's a very detailed, pragmatic course. I'm not after you just getting certified. I want you to get certified, but I really want you to know the content. All right. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, go on down to tinyurl.com/elite PMP. I'll see you soon. Smash the like button if you got value from this, and I'll see you next time.